Oh, she really thought she won. Yeah, that message came in while I was on a ladder, fixing a busted circuit box, wires in one hand, grease on the other. Birthday? Didn't matter. I'd been pulling double shifts to keep this house running. Her house, apparently. Funny how it stopped being ours the moment she wanted to play queen of the castle. She sold my car. A 74 Chevelle SS I rebuilt with my dad before he passed. Sold it like it was some old lawnmower cluttering her precious driveway. And then she told me to be grateful? Grateful? Said I had to pay for her brother's college, $6,000, like it was some minor errand she scribbled on a post-it. You're paying, she said. My family is more important. More important than me, the man who paid every mortgage check, every medical bill, every stupid handbag she needed for work events. So I told her no. Calm. Simple. No. And she fired back like a CEO terminating an underperforming employee. Then pack your things. I don't need you anymore. There it was, no hesitation, no remorse. Just business. Cold. Efficient. But here's what she forgot. I'm not the man who begs to stay. I'm the man who builds and leaves. So I packed. Not in some furious rage, nah, I was surgical. Left the suits, took the boots. Left the photos, took the files. She didn't even notice the fireproof safe was gone. Or the hard drive. Or the second phone. Because she thought she already beat me. But I left something behind. It wasn't a threat. No shouting. No broken glass. Just a single envelope on the dining table, with her name written in clean, looping cursive. Inside? Photos. Printed and dated. Her and her girls' night out in Vegas. Only it wasn't just girls. There was her coworker, Mr. Quarterback haircut, with his hand halfway up her thigh. Every angle. Every smirk. Every lie caught in glossy high resolution. And a letter. Short. One sentence. I've already filed for divorce. The house is in my name now. Because she never read the fine print when I refinanced the mortgage. She was too busy organizing fundraisers code for playing house with rich boys. In the morning, she found it. Now she's crying. Her mother's screaming. And her father, the man who once told me I'd never be good enough, is standing on my porch, begging. But that door won't open. Because this isn't his home anymore. This is mine. And I built it with hands that don't shake, for a future that doesn't include a woman who auctioned off loyalty for convenience. She thought she left a man with nothing. Turns out, she left a man with everything he needed, freedom, leverage, and a damn good lawyer. You ever watch a house fall down? Not the cinematic kind where everything explodes in flames and orchestral music swells. No, I'm talking about the quiet kind. The real kind. When the first crack snakes through a wall, slow and silent. When things look fine on the outside, but the foundation's already rotting. That was my marriage. And the day I left? That was demolition. But let's rewind a little. You want to understand why this all fell apart? You have to go back to the blueprints. We met in our 20s. I was all calloused hands and calloused heart. She was all fire, ambition, style, that effortless magnetism that pulls weak men into orbit. But I wasn't weak, not then. I thought I was building something with her. A family. A legacy. The truth? I was laying bricks while she was shopping for an exit. You know how they say women mature faster than men? In her case, she just calculated faster. She knew exactly how long to play the role. When to flash the smile, when to fake the gratitude, when to lean in and whisper, I believe in you, even while she was planning a life without me. And me? I was blind. No, worse, I was loyal. So yeah, I worked. I missed birthdays, skipped vacations, stayed up at night poring over invoices, contractor disputes, material shortages, all so she could live in comfort. So her brother could get a car for graduation. So her mom could have that unnecessary back patio she needed for her health. And every time I questioned it, she had an answer. You're the man, aren't you? That's what a provider does. Yeah, they loved that word, provider. Until I started asking what they were providing. Funny how fast love gets redefined when you stop paying for it. So when I walked out of that house, I didn't look back. Not even once. I left the keys on the granite counter she just had to have. I took only what I owned outright. My tools, my documents, my dignity. And the letter? That was just the beginning. See, what she never realized, in all her manipulation, in all her vanity, was that I had receipts. Literal and metaphorical. I had every transfer she made from our joint account to her brother's tuition. Every late-night Uber receipt she forgot to delete. Every photo she thought wouldn't see daylight. And that safe I took with me? It had her signature on 3 loan forms, Co-signed when she needed credit for that boutique she was too lazy to run. Loans I paid off. Loans that, on paper, made me the primary investor. That boutique? Mine now. She thought she could bankrupt me emotionally and financially. But she forgot who built the house. And builders? We rebuild. Now here's the part that stings them the most. Not the loss. Not the exposure. It's that I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scream or throw things. I didn't beg. I just left. I walked out on the woman who weaponized love. I let her drown in the silence she created. And when her father came knocking, tears in his eyes, pride in his back pocket, I didn't gloat. I just listened. He asked me not to ruin her. But I didn't ruin her. She ruined herself. All I did was document the collapse. By sunrise, the silence around me was thick. Not peaceful, loaded. I was staying at an old buddy's cabin just outside of town, tucked away in the hills where cell signals came and went like bad memories. I needed space, not just from her, but from the noise. The accusations that would come once that envelope detonated. And believe me, it did. By 8 a.m., my phone had already stacked up 10 missed calls. First her, then her mom, then a number I didn't recognize, probably her brother, the one whose tuition she thought I was going to pay with my backbone and my pride. I didn't answer any of them. I sipped my coffee slow, like a man who finally remembered what it felt like to breathe. The fire crackled in the hearth. My boots were kicked up. I watched the fog rolling off the trees and felt, for the first time in years, nothing pressing on my chest. But I wasn't idle. Nah. See, while she was crying into her mother's Chanel sleeves, I was filing documents, real ones this time. That divorce she never saw coming? Already in motion. Property reassignment, asset recovery, financial separation. I had prepped everything weeks ago, call it instinct or experience, maybe both. I just never imagined I'd need to pull the trigger on my birthday. The icing on the cake? She signed away her protection months earlier. Some bundle of refinancing paperwork she skimmed while scrolling Instagram. She thought I needed her signature for an interest rate drop. What she really signed was an addendum, one my lawyer drafted to reassign ownership of several key marital assets in case of separation due to infidelity. Clause 14b. Extramarital breach resulting in economic loss grants the uninvolved party primary equity ownership. Translation? She cheated. I get the house. She thought she was kicking me out of her home. Now she's just squatting in mine. Oh, and the car she sold? The Chevelle? I traced it. Filed a stolen property claim. Showed them the title still in my name. The poor guy who bought it off Craigslist is now tangled in a legal mess he never asked for. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. By noon, her dad showed up again. Not at the porch this time, at the cabin. How he found it? I'll give him credit, guy's persistent. He was different this time. Not yelling. Not scowling like I was the houseguest who never left. No, this time he looked tired. Real tired. His expensive jacket dusted with pine needles. Like the weight of raising a narcissist finally caught up to him. She's devastated, he said. I sipped my coffee. You didn't have to humiliate her. I set the cup down slow. There it was, the apology that wasn't. The shifting of blame. Pretending I'd ambushed her when all I'd done was reveal the truth she thought would stay buried under perfume and lies. I didn't humiliate her, I said. She did that all by herself? I just documented the wreckage. He sighed, took off his hat, and stared out at the woods. Is there any way back from this? There wasn't a way back when she sold my father's car and told me to be grateful, I said. There wasn't a way back when she tried to make me pay for her brother's future after she torched mine. And I meant it. Because this isn't just about a car or a checkbook or even the cheating. It's about disrespect. About how many times a man can swallow silence before it turns bitter in his throat. She bet everything that I wouldn't leave. And I left without flinching. 3 days after I left, the house of cards started falling in public view. I didn't post anything. Didn't tag anyone. Didn't throw a digital tantrum like some jilted teen crying in all caps on Facebook. No. I let the truth do what it always does, leak quietly and then burn uncontrollably. All I did was forward one email. One. It went to her boss. See, turns out when your wife dips into the joint account to fund her little brother's college semester using business expense codes from her event planning company, codes she borrowed from her office without clearance, that becomes fraud. The email I sent included screenshots of bank statements and a note. Thought you might want to know where your quarterly budget's been going. Her boss replied 2 hours later. One sentence. Thanks. HR will handle it. And just like that, her other safety net frayed. She always thought she had options. That if I ever stepped out, she'd land softly. Job security. Parental backing. Her brother, that freeloading punk, couch ready for backup. But she didn't count on the walls closing in at once. That same day, the local mechanic, the one who bought my Chevelle in what he thought was a sweetheart deal, called me. I'd filed the report. Authorities had visited his garage. He wasn't angry. In fact, he sounded almost apologetic. "Man, if I'd known it was your car. She said you were fine with it, that you guys agreed to sell." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. She lied to him, too. Like she lied to me. Like she lied to herself. And the more her lies got exposed, the more desperate she became. She started calling my friends, one by one, trying to spin the narrative, paint herself as a victim of an emotional tyrant. That was the phrase she used. But here's the problem with narratives. If you're the only one telling it, and nobody believes you anymore, it's not a story. It's just noise. Her calls to my lawyer? Denied. Her requests to talk this out like adults? Declined. You don't get to burn the bridge and then complain the road is closed. Meanwhile, I was living clean, quiet, surrounded by pine and peace. But I wasn't idle. Oh no. That boutique she ran? The one I funded? I paid a visit to the building owner. Turns out he was thrilled to hear from me. Her lease was months behind. She'd been faking payments using forwarded confirmation emails. When I showed him I had 51% equity in the business, his eyes lit up. "You taking it over?" he asked. "Not quite," I said. "I'm shutting it down." 2 days later, I walked through the boutique for the first and last time. Gold-accented racks. Candles burning in the corners. A manifested sign on the counter. I took nothing. Left a single envelope for her on the marble desk, poetic. I know, with a final invoice for unpaid debts and a note. "Your dream is now my write-off." I didn't burn it to the ground. I just flipped the lights off and locked the door. And that's what they don't teach you about revenge. You don't have to scream. You don't even have to raise your voice. You just have to outlast the lie. And when the lie falls, make sure you're standing with the receipts. She always walked like the world owed her something. Not in a loud way. No, she was smarter than that. Subtle. Graceful. The kind of woman who smiled with just enough sweetness to disarm, just enough mystery to keep you guessing. A slow drip of charm that made you think maybe it's my fault when something went wrong. But see, I lived with her. I knew what it looked like when the charm wore off and the mask slipped. Behind closed doors, the woman everyone admired was a strategist. Her life was built on perfectly timed illusions. And when I left, I didn't just take my clothes and dignity, I took my memory. And let me tell you, my memory's sharp. I remembered names, places, timing. I remembered the receptionist at the wellness clinic she started going to last year, the one who flinched when I asked what holistic recovery included. I remember the Airbnb receipts from weekends she claimed were retreats with the girls. And I remembered her old phone, still in the drawer. Yeah, she changed phones 6 months ago, right around the time she started talking less and dressing up more. But she never wiped the old one, just tossed it aside like a forgotten accessory. So I powered it on. And that's when the Real story started bleeding through. Not just flirty messages, logs. Payments to a second Venmo account under a fake name. Hotel reservations made in my name, without my knowledge. Email threads with a divorce attorney from last year, gauging what she'd be entitled to if she could document emotional instability. That last one made me pause. She was planning my downfall long before my birthday, trying to line up a clean break where I walked away looking like the broken one, so she could keep the house, the car, the boutique, and her next boy toy without getting her nails dirty. But that phone? That phone blew the door off her plan. Photos, screenshots, audio messages. Not just of her, of others. She'd been helping her friend cover up an affair with a married man. She'd been loaning the boutique's business account to her cousin, a known scammer, to launder money through gift card purchases. So what did I do? Simple. I made a backup. Encrypted, cloud-locked, timestamped. Then I sent one anonymous package, no return address, straight to the IRS, with the subject line, "You might want to audit this." Call it a preemptive strike. And as for her best friend, the one who always looked at me like I was a stray mutt in her designer kitchen, turns out she had a lot to lose if the truth about her loan management business ever got out. So I let her know. I have everything. Tell her to stop calling, or I start releasing. She stopped calling. And so did my ex. That week, the silence was delicious. No more, we need to talk. No more, you're being unreasonable. Just the ticking clock and the slow unraveling of her kingdom. And me? I started sleeping better. Because revenge isn't about fire and fury. It's about removal. I removed her access. I removed her narrative. I removed the safety net she thought she had beneath my name. And in its place, just a hard floor and her own echoes. By the end of that week, the phone stopped ringing. She always thought silence was a weapon, some smug little tool she used to punish me whenever she didn't get her way. But now, the silence was hers. And it wasn't elegant. It was frantic, screaming into a void that had finally learned how to ignore her. From what I heard, she started reaching out to everyone. Her old college friends, the ones she kept around for wine nights and Instagram clout, went quiet the moment the boutique closed. One even forwarded me a screenshot of a text she sent them. "If anyone talks to him, you're dead to me." Charming. You see, she was spiraling, but trying to do it with polish. Posting curated captions online. Inspirational quotes. Playing the scorned woman. Sometimes you have to lose to find yourself. Cute. Except her loss included a cease and desist letter I had served to her for defamation after she tried to accuse me publicly of mental cruelty. And it would have landed if she didn't forget I had receipts. That phone? That draft she wrote to her lawyer planning the instability angle? I had it notarized and submitted it as part of my defense. My lawyer called it the cleanest takedown he'd ever seen. Then came the financial freeze. Joint accounts? Closed. Shared assets? Liquidated. That $6,000 tuition payment for her brother? Never processed, not legally, anyway. The money she borrowed was classified as unauthorized usage of shared marital funds, and I filed for recovery. Her brother called me. Not to apologize. Not even to explain. No, he called to yell. "You ruined everything, man." I didn't even flinch. "You're 22. Maybe it's time to pay your own tuition," I said. Click. That was the last I heard from him. Apparently the college dropped him for non-payment, which, if you ask me, was poetic. The same week he posted a video of himself doing donuts in a BMW. The same BMW I later found out she had helped him finance with a forged cosigner document. You see, it was never just betrayal. It was theft. Of my time. My trust. My credit. So I did what she never expected. I got strategic. Flagged every joint credit card. Froze every remaining shared account. Filed fraud reports for every dollar moved without my authorization. Reported her to the Small Business Bureau for improper use of company funds. Oh, and the cherry? I notified the luxury brand reps who used to partner with her boutique for collabs. Told them she was under investigation for misappropriation of brand materials. They dropped her faster than she dropped her vows. And just like that, her curated little life, her empire of soft lighting, scented candles, and hashtags collapsed. No boutique. No family backstop. No husband. No narrative. But it's what came next that really put the nail in. A friend of hers, someone I never liked, but who always acted nice around me, reached out. A DM, quiet. Anonymous account. Said she wanted me to know something. Said she felt guilty watching what my ex had done, and that if I ever needed help setting the record straight, she had photos, messages, even a screen recording of a night out where my ex laughed about milking the divorce. "He doesn't even know I used his name to get that business loan," she said in the video. I mean, technically it's fraud, but who's gonna tell? Turns out, me. I filed a formal fraud complaint the next morning. And for the first time since this entire charade began, I realized something. She hadn't just underestimated me. She had built her whole kingdom on the idea that I'd never fight back. She was wrong. There's a moment in every downfall when the person who thought they were untouchable starts to feel the ice creep up their back. That moment when the calls they used to make to fix things, to spin things, to control things, stop going through. Or worse, they go through, and nobody picks up. She hit that moment around week 2. You know how I know? Because her lawyer, not my lawyer, hers, called me. "She's having trouble getting her statements together," he said. "Some of the business filings seem incomplete." I nearly laughed. Not because I found it funny, but because of the perfect irony. She lied so much, for so long, she couldn't even document her own fiction. I told him politely, and with zero mercy, that I had no obligation to help fix her mess. And then I added, "In fact, if she submits falsified records, I'll escalate this to criminal court." He paused, then hung up. I didn't hear from him again, but I did hear from a mutual friend, Sarah, one of the few who hadn't picked a side at first. She called me, her voice low and careful, like someone afraid to be overheard. "She's not doing well," she said. "She's unraveling." I didn't respond right away. I just let the silence stretch until she added. She's asking people to call you. Says you're being cruel. Cruel? No. I was being fair. Let me tell you what cruelty looks like. Cruel is working 60 hours a week while your wife hosts girl nights that end in hotel rooms you paid for. Cruel is watching her brother crash your car and laugh it off because you're the rich one, right? Cruel is having the woman you married sell your memories for scraps and call it empowerment. No, Sarah. I wasn't being cruel. I was giving her everything she asked for independence. She was free now. Free to pay her own bills. Free to explain why her boutique's Instagram suddenly vanished. Free to figure out why none of her brand sponsors returned her emails. Free to live in the house she said was hers, until the foreclosure notice hit the mailbox 2 days later. Yeah, turns out she didn't keep up with the mortgage after I left. Probably thought someone would swoop in and rescue her. Maybe one of those velvet-voiced businessmen she used to flirt with at fundraisers. Except none of them were answering now. One of them, I heard, had a wife who found the receipts I left behind anonymously. He's now fighting for custody, and she's busy scrubbing her digital footprint. Funny how fast the socialites vanish when there's no camera to smile for. As for her parents, they tried one more time. Her mother left a message. We just want to talk. There must be something we can do to stop this. I deleted it. Because this isn't something to stop. This is something to finish. And I'm not even halfway done. You ever seen someone flail when the safety net disappears? It's not loud at first. It's pathetic. Quiet. Like someone realizing the oxygen's running out after they've already slipped underwater. That's where she was now. I knew because her aunt messaged me. Not to take sides. She was careful not to. Just a checking in sort of thing. Code 4. She's calling everyone. No one's answering. Now she's reaching back to the relatives she hasn't spoken to since Christmas 2018. And you know what I said? Nothing. Because I'm not fixing her anymore. She used to say I was the rock of the family. Now she's just mad that rocks don't bend. Let me tell you how her week went. The boutique was officially shuttered. The business account was drained, not by me, but by her own spending. Shoes, wine shipments, online subscriptions that were supposed to be for branding research. Her face was removed from the website of a luxury candle company she'd been partnering with. Turns out, once they saw the fraud complaint with her name on it, they quietly backed out. No public statement. Just vanished her. Like a typo. And the best part? She tried to rent out the house. Yeah, the one she claimed was hers. The one now in my name. She listed it through one of those apps full of glowing copy about European charm and designer interiors. She even faked the ownership papers using a doctored PDF I immediately recognized, because I'm the one who scanned the originals. Guess who flagged the listing? I did. Took one email and a 60-second phone call to Airbnb's legal team. The listing came down in an hour. She lost her host account in less than 2. And then I sent a copy of the real deed to the local housing authority with a brief note. Just in case she tries anything else. She's got a history now. No threats. No gloating. Just paperwork. That night, I sat on the porch of the cabin, same coffee, same silence, and I wondered what she was doing. Maybe crying in that over-decorated kitchen. Maybe blaming the universe. Maybe blaming me. But I didn't feel pity. I felt clean. Because for years, I was her lifeboat. She'd rock the boat, flip it over, then scream for help. And I'd jump in after her every damn time. But not this time. This time, I let her sink. And she's learning something most manipulators never do. You can't build a new life on the ashes of the one you destroyed, when you burn the bridge to every person who ever truly cared. She's alone now. Her mother? Silent. Her friends? Ghosted. Her job? Gone. Her brand deals? Terminated. Her boutique? Liquidated. Her image? Shattered. And me? Still standing. Not bitter. Not broken. Just untouched by the wreckage. She always said, I don't need anyone. Well, wish granted. There's a specific kind of silence that hits after you've been stripped bare. Not the peaceful, coffee on the porch kind. I'm talking about the how did it all go so wrong kind. The kind that hangs in the air like smoke after the fire department's gone home, when the only thing left is the stink of what you lost. She opened that letter on a Wednesday. I knew because a friend of mine, a clerk at the county records office, gave me a heads up. It was from the IRS. Not my doing this time. See, when I pulled that string on her boutique's finances, I wasn't the only one paying attention. Turns out some of those creative deductions she made over the past 2 years, labeled as event losses, promotional gifts, And my personal favorite, spiritual marketing resources? Yeah, those got flagged. And the best part? She listed my name on the tax forms. Even after we separated. Even after I removed myself from the business. That's called fraudulent filing. Now, you'd think the IRS would show some mercy. You'd think they'd see a distressed woman crying about a messy divorce and a vengeful ex-husband. You'd think they'd give her a pass. You'd be wrong. They gave her a deadline, 30 days. She owed them just over $42,000. Back taxes, interest, penalties. She could fight it, sure. Hire a tax attorney. Plead ignorance. But here's the thing, they had evidence. Screenshots, signatures, timestamped filings. All traced back to her laptop, her login, her IP address. You can't flirt your way out of math. Meanwhile, her landlord, the one who owned the space the boutique used to occupy, was trying to contact her for unpaid rent. 4 months' worth. I'd already released my 51% claim. Left the lease in her name. Another gift she didn't see coming. Then came the real kicker. Her credit score dropped 90 points in a week. Why? Because the car she sold wasn't actually transferred right. I disputed the title. It got flagged as stolen. The bank froze the loan attached to it. Now she's tied to a vehicle she doesn't have, owes on a loan she can't pay, and has a report filed under her name for unauthorized sale of property. She posted one of those, taking a break from social media to focus on myself stories. You know the ones. Some black and white stock image. A quote about growth. But everyone knew. The likes were gone. The comments turned quiet. Even her go-to echo chamber, the boss babe girls who used to hype her up, they weren't reposting anymore. You don't get to scream empowerment while being dragged by 4 separate agencies for fraud, theft, and perjury. And still, she tried to text me. Can we just talk? No. We were a team once. No, we weren't. I was a team. You were a passenger. You don't have to destroy me. And there it was, the line. The one that twisted in my gut. Because I never set out to destroy her. I set out to protect myself. She did the rest. All I did was let the truth stand where the lies used to live. And the truth, unlike her, doesn't beg to be understood. It just sits there. Heavy. Inevitable. She opened that letter, and for the first time in her carefully curated life, she didn't have a plan. You ever watch someone take a swing in a fight they already lost? It's wild. Messy. Desperate. Not because they think they'll win, but because they can't stand walking away without at least one punch thrown. That's exactly what she did. She filed a restraining order. Yeah, you heard that right. A woman who cheated, lied, committed financial fraud, and tried to strip me of everything I ever built, marched down to the courthouse and told a judge she feared for her safety. I found out through my lawyer, a man I've come to trust like a damn brother, who sent me a PDF with the subject line, "You're going to want to sit down." I read every word. She told them I was emotionally manipulative, said I monitored her spending, said I was obsessive, controlling, aggressive. No police reports. No evidence. Just a carefully worded fiction. And yet, the courts have to take that stuff seriously, at least at first. Temporary order. Mandatory hearing. She tried to paint herself as a victim. Not of circumstance. Not of betrayal. Of me. That was her last wild swing. But you know what makes a punch like that so pathetic? When the person throwing it forgot the cameras were rolling. Because remember that phone? The one I backed up? It had voice recordings. Of her. Telling her friend she was just waiting for the right moment to cash out. Saying she had screenshots ready in case I ever got smart. Even laughing about how she could make a judge cry if I needed to. I handed it over to my lawyer. Let him line up every piece like dominoes. The hearing was a week later. She came in wearing grief-like designer perfume, black dress, no makeup, trembling hands. It was all theater. For her, this was another performance. Except this time, the audience wasn't buying it. My lawyer didn't say much. He didn't have to. He played one voice recording. That was it. Just one. The one where she said, "I've got enough dirt to bury him if I have to. I'll make him look like a monster if he tries to leave." You could feel the courtroom shift. Like oxygen got sucked out of the room. Even the judge's posture changed from patient to disgusted. Her lawyer tried to stammer something procedural, technical, irrelevant. But it was over. The order was dismissed on the spot. No apology from her. She just stared at me, not angry, not even ashamed. Just panicked. Because that swing? That was her last shot. And I didn't duck. I just watched her fall forward into the dirt she spent years piling up, The dirt she was supposed to bury me with. But now, she's the one choking on it. After the courtroom stunt blew up in her face, I knew what she'd try next. It was textbook. When manipulators run out of control, they pivot to escape. That week, she vanished off social media. No new stories. No cryptic posts. Even her closest friends were left on read. It didn't take a genius to figure out what was coming. She was gonna run. Change the narrative. Start over somewhere new. New city. New people. New version of herself to sell. And maybe that would have worked if she hadn't left a trail of unpaid debts and digital fingerprints a mile wide. See, she thought she could start fresh. Just skip town. But the modern world doesn't forget. It just archives. A week after the hearing, I got a call from my bank. Mr. Taylor, did you recently authorize a balance transfer for $18,700 to a new account in Miami? Miami. I nearly smiled. No, I told them. I didn't. And the bank's fraud department flagged it instantly. Blocked the transaction. Turns out, she used an old joint account, one we hadn't touched in over a year, one she thought I'd forgotten. But I hadn't forgotten anything. The account was still in my name. She just tried to change the email. Rookie move. I contacted my lawyer. We filed a new complaint, this time for wire fraud. And just to be sure she couldn't vanish into a sunlit apartment in Florida and pretend none of this happened, I made one more move. Remember that friend of hers? The one who flipped sides after the boutique collapsed? She told me exactly where my ex was planning to go. She's staying at her cousin's condo in Brick Hill, she said. She's calling it a sabbatical. Says she'll rebrand and launch something new once the heat dies down. Rebrand. That word. Like she was a broken product and not a walking train wreck of her own making. So I called the condo association. Told them there was a pending fraud case tied to someone staying on the property. Gave them the court docket number. The flagged tax ID. Everything. They sent an official letter the next morning. Said she had 48 hours to vacate. No drama. No police. Just a clean sweep. She was trying to disappear like a ghost. But ghosts don't get Wi-Fi. They don't pass credit checks. They don't book flights when every financial account is being audited and flagged. She thought she could fly under the radar. But when you've built your entire life lying through your teeth and stepping on people's necks, the radar never turns off. The walls were closing in, and for the first time in her life, there were no doors left to run through. It always comes to this part, doesn't it? The apology. After the lies. After the threats. After the courtroom games and the financial landmines. When the schemes fail, when the social circle evaporates, when there's nothing left to leverage. They crawl back, dragging a wilted bouquet of sorry in one hand and a rusted dagger in the other. I got her message at 2:14 a.m. Not a call. A voice memo. Her voice was hoarse, cracked like she'd either been crying or rehearsing for hours. I messed everything up, okay? I was scared. I felt cornered. I didn't know how to ask for help. Help? She didn't ask for help when she took that $6,000 for her brother. Didn't ask for help when she forged my signature on loan documents. Didn't ask for help when she sold my car like a yard sale bicycle and called it fair. She asked for obedience. She expected silence. This wasn't a confession. It was a marketing pitch. A rebrand. She was testing the water, seeing if she could spin Broken Woman as the next season of her personal drama. Maybe get sympathy. Maybe redemption. But I didn't bite. Instead, I forwarded the message to my lawyer. We cataloged it. Filed it under post-verdict communications. Because everything is evidence now. Everything is timestamped and sealed. Still, part of me listened again. Not because I missed her, that ship sank months ago. But because I wanted to hear how far she'd fallen. She talked about memories. Said she still wore the ring sometimes. Said she kept the old sweatshirt I gave her after our first road trip, the one with the faded brewery logo and torn sleeve. I sleep in it when I can't sleep at all, she said. It still smells like you. Now here's the sickest part of betrayal. It always circles back to intimacy when power is lost. She used to leverage guilt. Now she was leveraging nostalgia. But I knew what she didn't. You don't come back from what she did. Not because I'm cruel, but because some bridges are made of dry rope, and once they catch fire, they're gone. I didn't respond. Not with words. I mailed her one thing. A copy of our finalized divorce decree. Signed. Stamped. Filed. And attached was a post-it note in her handwriting, one I'd kept from years ago. She wrote it after our second anniversary, back when I still believed in forever. It said, "You always make me feel safe. I'll never stop choosing you. I crossed out the word never, and beneath it, I wrote, "You stopped. So did I." You know, when the villain's backed into a corner, bloodied, reputation in tatters, plans blown to ash, and she makes that one last play? It's never about redemption. It's about damage. If she can't win, then nobody gets to walk away clean. So she dragged in the one person I swore to protect from the start. My mother. It started with a knock on her door. Unannounced. My mother, 67 years old, arthritis in both knees and grace in every step she ever took, opened the door to find my ex-wife standing there with tear-filled eyes and a smile forged in desperation. "I just wanted to talk," she said. Woman to woman. Mom knew better. She didn't let her in. Not at first. But my mother, saint that she is, still has that curse of kindness. So they sat on the porch. My ex spun her new tale. Said I'd been emotionally distant for years. That I manipulated her finances. That she was just trying to find herself again, but I turned everyone against her. And here's the thing, my mom listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't slap her across the face like I would have understood. She just watched. Measured. Took it all in like the quiet juror she's always been. Then she said, "You know what hurts most? I taught my son to protect the people he loves. I just didn't realize one day he'd need to be protected from them." And she shut the door. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't look back. That same night, I got a voicemail. From my ex. "Why does everyone think I'm the monster?" she whispered. "I made mistakes, but I loved you. I still love you." No. She loved the life. The lifestyle. The version of me that never said no. But now that I've got a spine and a lawyer, suddenly I'm cruel. Controlling. Dangerous. That night, she posted a throwback photo of us online. Captioned it, "Some memories never fade. Some people never change." It was bait. Meant to draw sympathy. A final Hail Mary. She thought someone might believe her. But no one did. The comments were silent. Except one. From her old maid of honor. A woman she'd ghosted after the divorce started, probably because she couldn't spin the lies tightly enough to hold. Her comment? "Some people do change. Especially when they finally see who you are." She deleted the post 20 minutes later. Blocked the comment. But the damage was done. To her. See, when you burn through enough people, the only one left holding the matches is you. She thought dragging my mother into it would break me. But all it did was seal the deal. Because now, even my mother, the gentlest soul I've ever known, told me this. Don't you dare let her crawl back into your life, not even for a second. You worked too hard to build peace. Let her rot in the war she made. It came in the form of a package. No return address. No name. Just my name scrawled across the front in handwriting I knew better than my own. I opened it cautiously, expecting drama. A letter. Maybe some sentimental trinket, an old photo, a key to nowhere. But inside wasn't nostalgia. It was paperwork. She had filed a motion for spousal support. Not a joke. Not a bluff. A real, legal petition demanding monthly payments from me because, according to her claim, she had become financially dependent during the marriage and now lacked means for self-sufficiency. The same woman who once bragged to her friends that I was her starter husband? Who called herself an independent brand? Who laughed when she said, "He builds it, I shine it." Now she wanted me to fund the mess she made. I sat there, reading her claims. He encouraged me not to work full-time so I could focus on personal development. He controlled our finances and access to shared accounts. My ability to earn income was directly affected by our marriage. The same marriage where I paid for everything. The same marriage where she used my name, my credit, my network to build a business, a lifestyle, and a personal brand of false empowerment. And now? She wanted me to bankroll her fallout. It was audacious. Insulting. But more than anything, it was revealing. Because this wasn't about money. It was about control. Her last move, not to break my heart, not to smear my name, but to put a hook back into my skin. To tie me legally and financially to the very disaster I spent months clawing my way out of. But she miscalculated. Again. Because you don't ambush a man who's already built a fortress around his peace. My response? Swift. Surgical. We filed a motion to dismiss, backed with months of financial records showing her income, her spending, her false statements. Every luxury purchase, every vendor receipt, every Instagram brand collab payout, all of it accounted for. And then, we filed a counterclaim. My lawyer called it preemptive scorched earth. I called it clarity. We demanded damages for fraudulent activity, unauthorized account usage, and emotional distress. Included documented proof of her attempts to manipulate legal proceedings, including the audio where she joked about weaponizing the courts if I ever got clever. The judge didn't just throw out her motion. He sanctioned her attorney, said it was a gross misuse of the court's time and resources. When she found out, she showed up, not in person, in another message. This one wasn't angry, wasn't sad. It was cold. You win. Congrats. No punctuation. Just bitterness. Flat. Hollow. But she was wrong. This wasn't about winning. It was about ending. Ending the lies. The grip. The manipulation. I stared at the message for a long time. Thought about replying. Something final. Sharp. But I didn't. Because when the last betrayal comes, it doesn't deserve a speech. It deserves silence. And silence? That was mine again. There's a strange quiet that comes after the war ends. You don't notice it at first, not with all the fallout still smoldering. There are still emails, legal cleanups, final signatures. But somewhere in the middle of it all, you realize she's not in your life anymore. Not even as a threat. Not as a weight dragging on your shoulders. Not as a voice echoing in your head. Just gone. But see, while I was walking out of the rubble with clean hands and a clearer mind, she was still standing in the smoke. I didn't need to chase it. Didn't need revenge anymore. She was doing the job just fine on her own. Remember that fraud report we filed over the boutique funds? That didn't just get ignored. 3 weeks after her final court loss, she was notified of a federal investigation. Apparently, her cousin, the one she laundered gift card money for, had been under audit. They tracked payments to her account. Thousands of dollars in branding services for a business that never had a website, never paid taxes, never even had a registration number. She'd been sloppy, arrogant, reckless. And now? She was tangled in a web she couldn't gaslight her way out of. I didn't celebrate. Didn't post about it. Didn't even bring it up to the few friends who still checked in now and then. Why? Because this wasn't about satisfaction anymore. It was about distance. Let her burn in the fires she lit. Let her figure out what justice feels like when it doesn't come wearing my face. Meanwhile, I started putting things back together, slowly, precisely. Sold the house. Not because I had to, but because I wanted a clean start. Donated every piece of furniture she ever picked out. Cleared it all like a sickness. Rebuilt my garage and bought back a replica of the Chevelle. Wasn't the same, but it reminded me of who I was before I ever let her in. Then one day, a small envelope arrived. No return address. Inside? A check. Drawn from one of her old business accounts. Postmarked from out of state. For $6. Not 6,000. Not even 60. $6. No note. I knew what it was. Her way of trying to leave a final mark. Some bitter joke. A breadcrumb to drag me back into the wreckage. I took a match to it. Lit it over the new fire pit I'd built in my backyard. Watched it curl and vanish. That's the closest I've come to feeling pity. But I don't anymore. Pity is for people who try and fail. She calculated. She plotted. She poisoned. Now she's alone, by her own design. And me? I've got peace again. Not the kind that comes from denial. The kind that comes after surviving the worst and realizing you're still standing. Clean. Whole. Free. I thought I'd burned every bridge connected to her. Turns out, I missed one. His name was Kevin. Her cousin's kid. Barely 20. Quiet. Always kept to the edge of family gatherings like he didn't want to be seen, or worse, didn't feel seen. Back then, I didn't pay much attention to him. Just another body at the cookout, another plate at the table. But a few weeks after that $6 stunt landed in my mailbox, Kevin messaged me. Polite. Simple. Hey, I know things are messy, but I wanted to thank you for the Christmas jacket. Still wear it. I stared at that message for longer than I care to admit. The jacket. I'd forgotten. One year she insisted we do a big family gift exchange. Most of her relatives give gift cards or half-hearted trinkets, but I'd bought Kevin a heavy canvas work coat, told him it'd last a decade if he treated it right. Guess he did. I replied. Simple back. Glad it still fits. I didn't expect more. Didn't want more. But 2 days later, he sent another message. Said he dropped out of the chaos early. That he stopped talking to her, stopped covering for the lies, stopped pretending the family drama was anything but poison. Said he was working full-time now. Laying low. Learning how not to end up like them. And he said something that hit me sideways. You were the only one who didn't treat me like a lost cause. That stuck. Because I remembered the family dinners, her parents griping about how Kevin needs to grow up, and that boy'll never make it. Meanwhile, I was the one sliding him $20 on the way out and telling him to keep his chin up. I never did it for thanks. But getting it? It reminded me something important. Not every piece of her world was rotten. Some were just trapped in the same storm. I asked if he needed anything. He said no. Just wanted to say thanks. Just wanted someone to hear him. So I sent him a copy of a book I'd been reading about rebuilding, legacy, standing tall after collapse. Told him to keep going. And I meant it. Because not every fire has to consume everything. Some things survive the blaze scarred, maybe, burned around the edges, but still standing. Kevin was proof of that. And I realized, maybe I was too. So I let the message sit there. Didn't brag about it. Didn't use it to prop myself up. Just took the win. Quiet. Honest. Undeniable. There's a certain type of person who can't stand to be forgotten. They can handle hate, handle conflict, handle shame, even if it means they're still the center of something. But silence? Silence eats them alive. And that's where she was now. Not infamous. Not feared. Not adored. Just irrelevant. So she did what people like her always do in the face of fading attention. She rebranded. New city. New Instagram handle. New wellness journey. I caught wind of it through a mutual acquaintance, one of those digital breadcrumb hunters who always finds the alt accounts, the second phones, the fake middle names used to start over. Her new page was everything you'd expect. Minimalist quotes. Spa photos. Fake wisdom about healing and forgiveness. She even posted a black and white photo of herself with a caption. The past taught me who not to be. The future is where I begin again. What a load of curated, lavender-scented nonsense. Because the past didn't teach her anything. It exposed her. And as for the future? Well, it's hard to begin again when you're still buried in lawsuits, tax liens, and a bankruptcy filing that came to light not 2 weeks after she launched her new coaching service. That's right. She tried to become a life coach. I couldn't make that up if I tried. Her pitch? Empowering women to reclaim their narrative. The same woman who used mine like toilet paper. She listed testimonials, fake names, stock photo faces, claimed to have helped hundreds. She had 42 followers. I watched from a distance, not because I cared, but because I wanted to see what rock bottom looked like for someone who refused to admit they'd ever fallen. And then came the podcast. Yup, she started one. The Phoenix Project. Complete with breathy intro music, vague monologues about growth, and plenty of sideswipes at unhealed masculine energy. She never said my name. She didn't have to. It was the same script she always used, just dressed up in yoga pants and moon crystals. But here's what she didn't count on. People have receipts. And one of her old friends, probably one who got stiffed when the boutique went under, leaked everything. Screenshots. Audio. That old video of her laughing about milking the divorce. They posted it in a forum dedicated to exposing fake influencers. Within 48 hours, her podcast got flagged. Her coaching page got reported. The very audience she was trying to hustle turned on her, not out of loyalty to me, but out of disgust for the lie. And me? I didn't have to lift a finger. I just watched the world remind her of something she never believed. When the spotlight moves on, all that's left is the person you actually are. No followers. No filters. No fantasy. Just you and your silence.